No. Aisha's scream echoed through the small servant quarters as she dropped her cheap Android phone, her heart racing like a jackhammer. The message had already been sent. The image, the one she meant to delete. The one she had taken in secret, in a moment of weakness, wrapped in nothing but vulnerability and shame. And now, it was in the inbox of her boss. Her billionaire Arab boss, Sheikh Zayed Al Farouk. Aisha, a 22-year-old orphan from a poor village in Kenya, had come to Dubai with dreams bigger than her suitcase. But reality hit her like a slap. Long hours, disrespectful housekeepers, and a cold, lavish palace that reminded her daily of how invisible she was. The only place she could cry was in the bathroom, with the tap running to muffle the sound. Her phone had barely 1 gigabyte of storage. It was glitchy, slow, and often confused her WhatsApp folders. That day, she tried to send her sick mother a picture of the herbal ointment she made with borrowed ingredients, but accidentally tapped the wrong image. The image, the one she had taken a month ago when she caught herself in the mirror after a bath, trying to remind herself she was still beautiful, still human, still more than just a maid. And now it had been sent to Zaid. Zaid, the billionaire oil magnate who hadn't even looked her way in the 6 months she'd been scrubbing his mansion. The same man with ice in his eyes and diamonds on his wrist. Rumor had it he fired an employee once just for mispronouncing his name. She was doomed, but what happened next was not what she expected. Instead of silence, instead of a termination letter, instead of security escorting her out, he replied, a single message: "Come to my office. Now." Aisha's legs buckled, her hands trembled. Was this the end? Was she about to be humiliated, or worse? But deep inside her, beneath the fear and panic, was a tiny spark. A whisper. Could this be the beginning of something else? Aisha's breath caught in her throat as she stood outside the massive carved mahogany door of Zaid Al Farouk's private office. Her palms were sweaty, her uniform slightly wrinkled, and her mind racing with every worst-case scenario imaginable. She had seen this room only once before, from afar, when she was polishing the gold-plated hallway vases. It was a forbidden space. No maid entered it unless summoned, and no one came out the same. You sent him a nude, her inner voice screamed, to a man who dated supermodels, dined with royalty, and could destroy lives with a single call. But before she could knock, the door opened by itself, automatically, silently, and she stepped in. The office was soaked in marble and gold, lit by a monstrous chandelier that looked like it could light an entire village. Behind a black and gold desk sat Zaid Al Farouk in a crisp tailored suit, no tie, just raw power and poise. His cold hazel eyes met hers, unreadable. No smile, no frown, just curiosity. You sent me something interesting, he said, his voice deep and deliberate. Aisha dropped to her knees instantly. Please, sir, I didn't mean to. It was a mistake. I was trying to send a picture to my mother. He raised a hand. She froze. You think I've never seen a woman's body before? He asked, standing up slowly. He walked around the desk with the grace of a panther. But there's something different about yours. Her breath hitched. What did he mean? Zaid's eyes scanned her, not with lust, not with disgust, but with something far more dangerous, interest. Why did you take that photo? He asked, stepping closer. Aisha's voice was barely a whisper. To remind myself that I'm still human, that I matter. The silence was thick. Then, to her shock, Zaid chuckled, a sound no one in the palace had ever heard. Most women take nudes for attention. You took one, for dignity. He looked down at her, then back at the door. Stand up. Aisha obeyed slowly, heart pounding. Effective immediately, he said, you're no longer working in this palace. Her heart shattered. You're moving into the guest wing. A private suite, new clothes, new duties. You will now report to me directly. He leaned in, whispering, I want to see who you are, without the apron. Her lips parted in shock. Was this promotion, punishment, or something far more dangerous? Whatever it was, she had just stepped into a world where a single mistake had rewritten her fate. And Zaid Al Farouk? He was just getting started. Aisha could hardly believe what she was hearing. The cold world she'd known, the world of endless cleaning, of invisible labor, was suddenly shifting beneath her feet like a sandstorm. One moment she was a lowly maid, scrubbing floors and serving tea. The next she was the woman the richest man in Dubai wanted to know, personally. Her new suite was a palace within the palace. Silk sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city's glittering skyline, and a wardrobe full of dresses she had only ever dreamed of. But the luxury was almost suffocating, like being trapped inside a diamond. Zaid didn't call her Maid anymore. He called her by her name, Aisha, and when he looked at her, it was with an intensity she'd never experienced before. But there was a twist she never expected. The day after her sudden promotion, Aisha received a mysterious message on her phone, an encrypted text from an unknown number. It read, "Be careful. He's not who he seems." Her heart skipped. Was this a warning? A threat? Who would warn her, and why? Then the whispers started. The staff spoke in hushed tones. "She's the billionaire's new favorite. They say she's his secret. But she's just a maid. How did she get so close?" Aisha wanted to believe this was her chance for a better life, maybe even love. But every glance from Zaid was a puzzle. His kindness sometimes melted into cold calculation. His smiles were rare, and when they came, they didn't always reach his eyes. One evening, as they stood on the terrace overlooking the Dubai marina, Zaid said something that shook her to her core. "In this world, trust is a currency far rarer than oil or gold. I don't give it lightly." Aisha knew she was walking a tightrope. One wrong move, one secret revealed, and she could be cast back into the shadows, or worse. But then, the scandal hit the news. A leaked photo of Aisha's mistake had gone viral. Aisha was suddenly the talk of social media. Some called her a gold digger. Others claimed she was a victim. And the most dangerous accusation? That she was using the picture as leverage to climb the billionaire's ranks. Aisha was forced to confront the harshest truth. In a world of wealth and power, innocence was a fragile disguise, and every move came with a price. What was Zaid's real game? And how far would Aisha go to survive, and maybe even win? The viral scandal was just the beginning. Overnight, Aisha went from invisible servant to the center of a ruthless media storm. Headlines screamed, "Maid or mistress?" The naked truth about Dubai's billionaire and his African maid, each article more brutal than the last. Her phone buzzed non-stop with hateful messages, fake news, and even job offers from tabloids promising millions for an exclusive interview. But Aisha refused. She had no intention of selling her dignity. Yet behind the scenes, something far darker was unfolding. Zaid summoned her one rainy evening. The palace was eerily quiet, the usual buzz of luxury replaced by a chilling tension. His office lights burned bright against the night sky, casting long shadows on the walls. "You've caused quite the storm," he said, eyes piercing through the dimness. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," Aisha whispered, swallowing her fear. Zaid paced slowly, then stopped and faced her. "You're not just a scandal. You're a weapon, if you play your cards right." His words sent a shiver down her spine. He slid a sealed envelope across the desk. Inside, a contract. "Sign this, and you'll be my official companion at all my business events worldwide. No more hiding, no more cleaning. You'll have a life most women only dream of." Aisha's eyes widened. The offer glittered with promises of luxury and escape. But the fine print hinted at something else. Complete control by Zaid over her every move. Every decision. "I'm not a prize to be won," she said firmly, her voice trembling but defiant. Zaid smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. "Maybe not, but in my world, power doesn't ask permission." At that moment, a message popped up on Aisha's phone. The same encrypted number from before. "He's using you. Don't sign. There's more to this than you know." Torn between dreams of a better life and the cold reality of control, Aisha faced the hardest choice of all. Surrender to a gilded cage or risk everything to uncover the truth behind the billionaire's charm. What secret was Zaid hiding? And who was really pulling the strings in this dangerous game? Aisha couldn't sleep that night. The contract burned in her mind like a brand, a golden cage wrapped in silk. Was this the price of survival, or the beginning of a nightmare she could never escape? Determined to find answers, she began digging quietly around the mansion. What she discovered shattered every illusion. Zaid Al Farouk wasn't just a billionaire playboy. Behind the lavish lifestyle and ruthless business empire was a man haunted by shadows. A past stained with betrayal, secrets, and enemies who would kill to see him fall. Late one night, Aisha overheard hushed voices in the vast study, Zaid arguing with a mysterious visitor. The words cut like knives. "You promised the deal was off. She's no pawn in your games." Zaid's voice was cold but furious. "She's not a pawn. She's a key. If I lose her, I lose everything." The visitor snarled. "Then you're playing a dangerous game with fire, Zaid. You'll burn her, and yourself." Aisha's heart pounded. Who was this visitor? And why was she so important in a battle that seemed bigger than either of them? The next day, Zaid called her into his office again. But this time, the powerful facade cracked just a little. "I'm not the man you think I am," he confessed, his voice softer. I protect everything I've built, sometimes at a terrible cost. Aisha's fear mixed with a strange sympathy. Was this the billionaire's way of warning her, or a plea for help? Suddenly, the door burst open. The mysterious visitor stormed in, a woman. Tall, fierce, and unmistakably dangerous. This ends now, she declared. Aisha realized she was caught in a deadly game of love, power, and betrayal. And the stakes were far higher than just a naked photo. Would she survive the storm? Or would the scandal that started it all be the least of her worries? The tension in the room was electric. The fierce woman who had just entered was none other than Layla Al-Farouk, Zaid's estranged sister, a powerful businesswoman with a reputation for ruthless deals and no tolerance for weakness. Stop this madness, Zaid. Layla's voice cracked with anger and desperation. She's a pawn in your revenge scheme, not your partner. Zaid's jaw tightened. Layla, you don't understand. Aisha is the one person I can trust, not in business, but in life. Aisha's heart raced. She had gone from a poor maid to a pawn in a family war she didn't want to be part of. But something inside her refused to be crushed. I'm nobody's pawn, she said, standing tall for the first time since her mistake went viral. If you want me involved, I want to know everything. No more secrets. For the first time, Zaid looked at her, not as a subordinate or a scandal, but as an equal. Layla scoffed, but the truth was undeniable. Zaid was falling for Aisha, not just as a conquest, but as a partner who challenged him. The media frenzy intensified. Rumors flew like wildfire. Was the maid really the future queen of the empire? Was this a love story or a calculated power move? Then came the ultimate twist. Aisha's mother, the woman she had tried to send the herbal ointment to, was flown to Dubai, thanks to a secret fund Zaid had set up months before. He had been watching her all along, quietly protecting her. The scandalous picture? A catalyst, not a mistake. A test. And in the end, the billionaire who had seemed cold and untouchable revealed the one truth that stunned everyone. He fell for her, not despite the photo, but because of the woman who dared to be real in a world full of masks. Aisha was no longer just a maid. She was the heart beating at the center of an empire. And the world would never see her the same again.